Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Eric with SweetSpotDFS, and welcome to a DFS preview for the 2022 Fortinet Championship. Now, this tournament's being held in 2021, but because the credit goes towards 2022, that's why I'm naming it as such. And I'm going to do that with all of my fall events going forward. So I just want to let you guys in on that so we can avoid any confusion in the future. If you want to see what I'll cover in this video in depth, I have timestamps in the description below. You can also find them on YouTube's progress bar. All you gotta do is hover over it and you'll see them there. But we're gonna start this video a little different than I do my typical previews. We're gonna start with a contest. Now, in order for this contest to run, I'm gonna hold the contest Sunday night during my review video, but in order for it to run, we need to reach a goal. And you can kind of see a little tracker over there to the left. I wanna get to 250 subscribers by the end of the week. We're at 230 currently. So if we get 20 new subscribers, this contest will run. And if you want to be entered into this contest, first of all, you need to be subscribed, which I think goes without saying. Secondly, comment on each of my videos and you'll get a free entry per video. So I put out 3 videos a week. You'll get 3 entries if you just comment in the comment section below. And to make it a little easier, a comment topic this week: who is your favorite 7K golfer? Actually, for this video, who's your favorite 7K golfer this week? Put that in the comment section below and you get 1 free entry into this contest. Again, you can get up to 3. If you comment on my preview, my strategy, and my prize picks video, 3 easy free entries, simple as that. But I'm gonna give 1 more away, and that's gonna be if you share any of these videos on the socials. So on Twitter or Instagram, those are really the only 2 places I can monitor right now. So if you share the video on either of those 2 platforms, I'll give you an additional free entry, and it's just 1. You're just gonna get 1. So if you do share both or all of the videos, like the preview, the strategy, the prize picks video, you're just gonna get 1 free one. But that's 4 total, increasing your odds of winning pretty greatly. Now, if the goal for whatever reason does not get met by the end of the week, I will carry the contest over to next week. And I'm not doubling up the pot, so it's not gonna be worth $20. We're still trying to get to 250 subscribers. So it's just $10 per goal. But if you do get 4 entries this week, those 4 entries will go into next week and you can earn 4 more next week. So I'm going to continue to do this and it'll continue to accumulate until the goal is met. So you'll have a really good chance to win. So that's contest number 1. Yeah, number 1. I have a second contest, and that second contest has to do with prize picks. If you sign up using the referral code SweetSpot, and you put a deposit of $20 in, you're just automatically entered into that contest. I guess I don't care if you subscribe to the channel. If you use the referral code and deposit $20, I'm just gonna reward you for being able to do that. And if you're the only person this week to do that, you're just gonna get a free $20. So if you put $20 in as your deposit and then you win $20, you basically get to play prize picks for free. So I'm making that one super simple, super easy. But hopefully I get more than one of you guys to sign up using the code. And again, you have to make a $20 deposit because Prize Picks is going to let me know who did that. And you're just going to be put on a list to enter into this contest. So again, $20 free. So that's $30 for the week that you guys can win just by entering this contest. And I should say with the Prize Picks contest here, your name is going to be in every draw until you are picked a winner. So once you sign up, if you don't get it this week, don't worry. I'm going to put your name into next week's, and I'm going to put your name into the week after. And we're going to continue to do that until you are a winner. So again, please do that. And it'll help me out quite a bit. And Prize Picks is a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys have been paying attention. Easy way to make some money. Okay, I am done with all the contests. There are no more contests for me to talk about. Let's go ahead and get into this thing. It feels so foreign. Let's see if I remember how to do this. There we go. We're actually going to start here with the tournament fact sheets. Now, this is going to be the last week, the last tournament that I actually do tournament fact sheets. I'm working on my own sheet that's going to have all of the important information because you see a lot of fluff here. Like, there's a lot of stuff we don't need. Like, we don't need to know how many years this director of agronomy has been working at the Silverado Resort and Spa. Maybe you guys like to know, but really when it comes to DFS, it's really not important. So I want to come up with my own sheet. It's going to be simple. It's not going to take super long to get through. You know, obviously we go kind of through 3 different variations. So I'll include weather, I'll include wind on that sheet. But you can look forward to that during the Sanderson Farms, which I think happens in 3 weeks from now, 2 weeks from now. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. This will be the last time you see tournament fact sheets, hopefully. But either way, we're going to start here. Fortinet Championship. It used to be called the Safeway Open. It used to be called the Fries.com. We've already been through this before in past preview videos, but let's do a little refresher. Par 72, 7,100 yards. We are on POA and bent grass. Now, in the past, what I've done is I've looked at both POA stats and I've also looked at bent grass stats. But I think the proper way to do this is either just look at POA or look at the hybrid mix between the two. POA is the more invasive species. It's the more dominant species of grass. It has more defining characteristics. Bent grass pretty much just rolls true. POA, obviously you probably have heard, when it flowers, it produces a lot of bumps on the green, and those bumps are going to cause different things. Now, to me, there is a skill to put on POA. I mean, look at Tiger Woods when he won the 2006 US Open, I think at Torrey Pines. It's either 2006 or 2008. I feel ashamed for not remembering, but if you watch his final putt to force a playoff, he hit it with speed. And that's the only way you're going to hit it through all the bumps, is to hit all your putts with speed. So that's in itself kind of a skill. Personally, me, I read putts at cup speed, meaning the ball just dives into the hole, and I try to hit most of my putts that way. Now, if I were putting on POA, my ball's going to get abused by those little flowers. I shouldn't even call them flowers. They are flowers, but it's when it's blooming that it causes all those little bumps. So there is a little bit of, first of all, let's put it this way. There's a little bit of knowledge that has to come with it, a little bit of skill. And those that have proven well on POA, I think those are the golfers that you want to weigh into your models. So yeah, definitely look at POA, and if not, look at POA and bent. Now on tees, we have Bermuda grass. On fairways, we have Bermuda as well, but it's like a mix. I mean, both of them are mixes of Bermuda, POA, and rye, which is extremely odd. Ryegrass is usually used as just a fill-in grass. You know, rye can basically grow anywhere. So I'm assuming that's why they're using it, to try to make sure, you know, there is coverage all over the golf course of nothing but grass, and there aren't like little spots of dirt and stuff like that. So I personally don't know what to look for when it comes to this. I honestly don't care about tees and fairways, but when it comes to rough, bluegrass and ryegrass. Now, bluegrass is just another term for POA. It's a different genus of the POA family, but it's essentially POA grass. And then you also have rye. So it's just POA, in my opinion. Look at everything POA. I mean, Bermuda is another one of those dominant grasses you need to know. But I think in the fairway, as long as it's not like towards the green and you're looking at the crown or the collar or the fringe or anything like that, I don't really think Bermuda's really going to come into play. But either way, just POA. I would just look at POA and that's it. There really isn't anything else. This is actually the first tournament fact sheet to come out for this tournament. If you look back at the past few years, we haven't seen one. In the fall, and I don't know why. The GCSAA, I don't think did anything with the fall season, so that's why we hadn't seen anything. This is actually the first one, and actually went through all the stuff that we care about. It got rid of like the soil drainage information, that kind of stuff. So, anyways, I guess this is kind of interesting. Course conditions are the best they've ever been for this tournament. So it's going to be running pure. Maybe we'll see exactly who is going to be the best on this track. Architects, I have not heard of Ben Harmon, but obviously we've heard of Robert Trent Jones, Johnny Miller. You can look up that information, but it's so ancillary. Like, I don't really care about that kind of stuff. Let's go ahead and get to a weather forecast. I like looking at this just to determine what the wind is going to do. Are we going to see any rain, anything like that? So I have a 10-day forecast up. We're looking at Thursday and Friday primarily because there is a cut this week. Believe it or not, we haven't seen one in a few weeks, but top 65 in ties. We want to avoid the waves that are going to have a lot of wind. And really, I didn't see much. First of all, we see no rain, so that's a kind of a plus. I mean, rain softens golf courses, making them a little easier. I don't know per se this is going to be trickier or more difficult, but it has the potential to dry out and become a little bit more firm and a little bit more fast. So keep that in mind. And actually, the absence of rain with POA is nice. When rain gets on POA, it gets even more bumpy. So it's good that there's no rain. Now, I can't get a clear picture of wind. These are just averages. I suggest all you guys find windfinder.com. Go and try to find the Silverado golf course. And I'll tell you right now, when you look up Napa, California, it's up here on the northern part. So I'll just zoom in. Took me forever to try to find it. That's kind of the bummer of Windfinder, is trying to find where the golf courses are. But you can see Thursday. We can look at Friday. Yeah, you guys can see on the screen. I can look at 7 a.m. Just go ahead and put this. You can see 5 miles an hour. Go to 10. We see 3. Go to 1 p.m. We see 3. And then 7. So it's like the wind isn't going to do much at the Silverado Resort. I had a little brain fart. I thought I was looking at something wrong. But you can also look at it Friday. Again, during the morning rounds, very little wind. It picks up in the afternoon. So it looks like anybody that's on the golf course 3 p.m. and later, probably going to be hit with a little bit more wind than in the morning. For me, that just kind of, I shouldn't say screams, but it pushes me to want to do the PM AM waves. But if you're playing on Prize Picks, by the way, there is a link in the description below for Prize Picks. I forgot to mention that during the contest. But if you're playing that, this is where you want to go. You want to look at wind every single week or every single day to try to figure out your Prize Picks plays for the week. But yeah, those are the only things I have to do with weather. Let's move on and get into past results. So if we look at every single year, you're going to see a winning score somewhere around 18 under. Jimmy Walker, 17. I shouldn't even say 18. I guess it's around 16 to 17. Walker, 17 under in 2013. Sang-Moon Bae in 2015. That's the 2015 season. Happened in 2014. And obviously, with each of these, you're going to understand. But 15 under, 2015, 15 under in 2016, 18 under, 2017, 15 again in 2018, 14, 17, 21. So Stuart Sink won it last year. A little bit lower than we've seen in the past. I think conditions-wise, we probably could get there again this week. Just if the wind remains as calm as it looked, scoring conditions are going to be optimal. And if the course has been in the best condition it's ever been in, that also promotes better scores. Now, when it comes to the cut, I think we're looking at around 2 under par. It was 2 under in 2020. Let's see here. I should have kept the cuts here, but it was actually 5 under in 2021. So it played much easier in 2021. 3 under in 2019. I'm not going to go through all of these, but just taking a look. So 1 under. Okay, so it's going to be somewhere between 1 under and 4 under, most likely where the cut's going to be. And really, probably just stay away from your grinded out golfers. We want birdie makers this week. But can't say you're going to do bad or poorly with par, grinded out par golfers. So I think it lends itself to any type of golfer, but we do want to lean more towards birdie makers. Okay, let's go ahead and I keep forgetting. Like it feels so fresh of doing this. Where do we go next? I think we got to look at past optimal lineups, honestly. So we're going to start in 2018. I had to guess on that one. I do have an optimal lineup field over here, but I'm just going to keep it over there. I'm going to hide it, actually. Your optimal lineups in 2018, $9,000, 11.5, 8.1, 7.5, 7.3, and 6.6. So a pretty standard approach at building lineups. 11, 9, 8, 7, 7, and 6. 2019, 8K, 10K, 8K again, 7, 7, 6. So again, very similar to your standard building. Again, for me, 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, and 6 is the standard way to build lineups. And for 2018, 2019, those were your optimal lineups. In 2020, we have 779, 867. So a little different. We left a lot of money on the table that week. If we wanted more of a realistic optimal lineup, I forgot to even do this. Would this work? No. Too many golfers. This works. Yeah, this gets you 49,100. So you would use a 779, 11, 6, 6. So really, we're kind of subbing out an 8K for your most expensive 11K golfer, and then we're adding another 6K, but pretty close to that same standard way of building. And then in 2021, we had an optimal lineup that left a lot of money on the table. Your realistic lineup included 6, 7, 3 9s, and an 8. So that was your more balanced build. There's really no reason to talk about the other ones. The birdie, the $3 winning lineup included Brendan Steele, who finished 29th with that 10K. So they kind of went the 10, 9, 9, 7, 7, 7 route. So very close to your standard build as well. But I mean, it's just going to lend itself to building however you think, whatever you think is the right way to do. With this, I think what I want to do is get into the bucket system. And I'm going to do this a little different. I don't think I want to spend too much time talking about golfers. I want to talk about the buckets themselves and what you need to build your lineups around. So we can go ahead and start here with the salary buckets. Like I said, your number one bucket is that 7K range. Again, if you forgot, leave a comment. Who is your favorite 7K golfer this week? We've seen one in the optimal lineup every single year. So here's your optimal lineup bucket. For 7K golfers, your min was 1, meaning there's always been 1 every single year. We've had a max of up to 3, meaning we have a 100% frequency rate, but there's also the possibility that there's going to be 2 7K golfers in there. Now, again, we haven't seen that every single year. Otherwise, we would see 2 as the min. But again, start your lineups with 7K. I think that's the way to go. Outside of that, your number 2 bucket and 3 bucket are actually in the 6K range. So number 2, 6 and above, or 6.5 and above, that's your high 6K. And your number 3 bucket is the 6.4 and below, or just below 6.5. So that's your low 6K. Those are your second and third bucket. They actually tie for the highest frequency of finishing inside the top 10. So don't be afraid to dig for some golfers. When it comes to salary, or not so much salaries, but when it comes to the higher price guys, your 5th ranked bucket is the 8K range, and your 6th ranked bucket is the 10K range. So I think we have 4 golfers. We have 5 golfers in that 10K range this year. Do we see one of them finish inside the top 10? I mean, there's been a lot of conversation because Jon Rahm is in this field. Do we start our lineups with Jon Rahm? Well, I mean, we've seen a 10K golfer inside the top 10 75% of the years that I've recorded salaries, which is obviously 3 out of 4. Pretty good chances, especially if you're on Rahm. Like if you like Rahm, that's pretty good to put Rahm in some of your lineups. And I'm also projecting around 2 to 3 finishing inside the top 10. So it just depends where they finish. Obviously, they could finish 9th and not return value. It would not be part of the optimal lineup. But if you're okay with a 10th place finish out of one of those guys, if you have the other pieces to go with it, then obviously everything's good. So I wouldn't worry too much there. 9K and 8K, they both tie for 6 for frequencies. Only the 8K has finished inside the top 10 100% of the time. So yeah, we haven't seen in the optimal lineup, but it has finished inside the top 10 100% of the time. And usually you want to find all 6 of your golfers inside the top 10. So I'm not saying you shouldn't play an 8K golfer. I think it's actually pretty decent if you do so. I think the second thing I want to look at is recent form. Actually, let's go with, yeah, recent form is something I want to talk about. So the one thing I like the bucket system for is that especially with this event and any of these fall swing events, golfers with no recent form are usually rookies. And this is the beginning of the season, meaning we have a ton of Korn Ferry graduates that are in this field. And a good way to tell should you roster them is to find what have the top 10s look like in the past few years. This recent form bucket down here, the did not plays, will tell you just that. So it is the 3rd ranked bucket. Now these are golfers not coming in with any recent form. If I go to my recent form spreadsheets here, you can see how that looks for each year. So here's 2021. Nobody from the Tour Championship played in this one, but then you can see anybody that has any number populated here played, within the last 7 weeks, meaning they most likely were on the PGA Tour. Those that don't, like say James Hahn this week, we know James Hahn has played here before. He's been in the PGA Tour before, but I think he got kicked down to the Korn Ferry Tour and then built himself back up to enter this one. So he was the only one that did not have recent form. As I continue going through this, you're going to see everybody else has recent form. So really your Korn Ferry graduates, Chase Wright, Jim Knaus, Julian Etelane, they probably, Julian had been on the PGA Tour before, but most of these guys did graduate from the Korn Ferry Tour. So far, we see 2 10th place finishes, and that's about it. Tyler Duncan in 2018 was a part of the optimal lineup. So the Korn Ferry Tour guy did end up being in the optimal, as did Brendan Harkin. So we actually had 2 golfers in 2018 from the Korn Ferry Tour finish in the optimal lineup. Now, we're not really going to be able to tell that much with these because we don't have salaries dating back 2017 and beyond. But Cody Gribble graduated from Korn Ferry, had no recent form, finished inside the top 10. Mac Hughes finished 13th. I don't know if he came from Korn Ferry. He might have came from the Mackenzie Tour. I'm not sure. But either way, those are 2 rookies that did pretty decent. And then you have Emiliano Grillo. He is probably the only guy that we can say has won being a Korn Ferry graduate for this tournament. Either way, it's a possibility. It can happen. And then Smiley Kaufman, another guy. So we had 2 again. So I think you're comfortable playing 1 or 2 guys that graduated from the Korn Ferry Tour and is playing in this field. So if we go to 2014, I'm not sure about Brooks. He could have been in 2014. I'm not sure. I know Kevin Na was not. Max Homa could have been, though. He could have been a Korn Ferry graduate. But either way, playing one of those guys, go for it. I don't think it's going to hurt you. I think it's like a 50-50 proposition, basically. I guess, in reality, 87% of the years have seen one golfer with no recent form. So, a pretty good rate to go with to populate some of your lineups with. From there, though, recent form, you can see coming in with the best recent form has not been the greatest. It is your 6th ranked bucket based off of frequency. The success rate isn't even high either. So people coming in with good recent form really aren't the way to go. But for this week, I think you can actually add 1 because I'm projecting around 2 to finish inside the top 10 and maybe just 1. It's going to be somewhere between 1 to 2. So I don't mind that. And then your next best recent form, we're looking at somewhere between 1 to 3 when it comes to 2040. But the main thing I wanted to focus on were the Korn Ferry graduates because we have a ton of them. If I were to go to this year, put a filter on here and just grab all the blanks. Obviously, Charles Howell III is not, if you weren't aware, he is not a Korn Ferry graduate. He just hadn't been playing for a while. But we have Taylor Moore. Svensson has played. So basically, how about this? We'll take out everybody who doesn't have course history. Or we'll just leave those that don't have course history. So as you can see, we have a ton of graduates here. We have 25 to be exact. And maybe some of these are actually sponsor invites or something like that. But either way, these are golfers with no course history at this tournament and no recent form over the last 7 weeks, meaning they probably are Korn Ferry graduates. If there's a golfer you like out of here, I mean, there are a bunch of good ones. Taylor Moore comes to mind. Chad Ramey also comes to mind. Josh Creel won on the Korn Ferry Tour. Lipsky's another good golfer to consider. I don't mind Ben Coles. I don't mind Nick Hardy. It's probably it. I really don't see anyone else. Cameron Young would be another good one. And I might take a flyer on Hayden Buckley. So to me, these are your Korn Ferry graduates that I think have a pretty good chance of doing well this week. But I think that's probably the most important thing to note when it comes to recent form, because, you know, like a John Rahm or a Zalatoris or a Na, I mean, that's basically play at your own risk, especially with how high priced they are. I mean, Rahm is the best golfer in the field by a long shot, but, you know, the buckets kind of tell you don't really want too many of those guys. And you kind of do want to focus a little bit up on the golfers from the Korn Ferry. So don't feel afraid. That's basically all I'm trying to get at. Don't feel afraid to playing any of those guys. Now, what I want to do from here, why don't we just look at course history really quick? Usually recent form, course history for me kind of go hand in hand. Not that they're the same, but they're kind of the same concept. You're looking at X amount of years of data, as opposed to like my last year bucket and last week bucket are only looking at 1 year of data or 1 week of data, one string or whatever string, one string of data. That's about it. Yeah, when it comes to course history, those who have zero course history, actually your number one bucket, the frequency is pretty high when it comes to those finding the top 10. Now the success rate is not good. It's actually the lowest, meaning this is usually a volume bucket. And you can tell because usually we see 53 per year. We only have 37 this week. So keep that in mind. Although it's the number one bucket, success rate isn't very good. I am projecting somewhere between 0 and 2. Now, I always round down with the lowest number. Remember, I usually move the decimal place over 1 and consider... Actually, I move the decimal place over 2 spots. Sorry. I move it over 2 spots, and I just kind of take it as a whole number. So this would be 0.8 to 1.4. To me, that's like 0 to 2. You know, we'll round up with this number, round down with the number. So those with zero course history, play at your own risk. I mean, just embrace the volatility. When it comes to the other ones, your number one or your number 2 bucket is the 60 to 80 range. And it looks like the projections are pretty decent here. 1 to 2 here. To me, the best course history bucket, although it's ranked 3rd, is your 40 to 60. I think we're going to see somewhere between 1 to 3 out of this bucket. And we've seen it inside the top 10 every single year. I mean, we've also seen 20 to 40, 60 to 80, and then a missed cut as your average course history. Finish inside the top 10. Those would be your highest kind of frequency buckets. When it comes to optimal lineups, though, here are the 2 buckets you want to choose. I almost forgot to look at this, but when we look at the optimal lineup bucket here, you can see you want someone in between that 20 to 40 range, and you want someone in between that 40 to 60 range. So I will look at golfers just for this one. I'm gonna try to look more at golfers during the strategy video to try to find the ones we really want to play. But when we look at course history, let me just go ahead, sort through this. Now 20 to 40 is the range that we're really trying to find one golfer from. And it starts with Kevin Na, Hideki Matsuyama. They're also in this one. Harold Varner III. These are all your high-priced guys. Emiliano Grillo. Brennan Steele, who won this tournament back-to-back, I believe, in 2016, 2015. 2018, 2017. I'm a little off. So yeah, starting here. So if you do like a Kevin Na or a Hideki Matsuyama as your 10K and above golfer, I think those are decent places to start. And then we have another former champ in Cameron Champ, but a lot of good golfers here. So obviously you guys can see that. When it comes to, I just realized I forgot to do a course breakdown. So that's what has distracted me. I'll get to that a little bit later. Bryce Garnett starts the 40 to 60 range. You want to find probably 1 or 2 golfers out of this range, and it's pretty large. So it's a very volume driven bucket. So I'm going to scroll through this really slowly. I'll probably point out some guys that I like or that I find interesting, like Luke List. I don't mind that. I also don't mind CH3. Mark Leishman is interesting. Stanley, Rogers, like those guys. Homa, I don't mind. I don't mind Griffin. I also don't mind Poston this week, or Adam Hadwin, Nick Taylor. Let's see. I do like Steven Yeager. So that's a Korn Ferry Tour finalist that has played on the tour before, but not, I mean, pretty sparingly. I like those guys. Hey, Russell Knox. I actually went right past him, but I do like Russell Knox. Scott Piercy looks like he ranks out pretty decent. Sebastian Munoz, really like Sebastian Munoz. I don't mind James Hahn, $6,800. That's not terrible. Siwoo Kim. Oh my God, Cameron Tringali, number 7 in my list or in my rank. So yeah, I don't mind Tringali either. And those are just a few highlights in the buckets that I think we need to pick golfers from. When it comes to course history. When it comes to last year, we can't talk about last week because there was no tournament last week, and I'm not going to use the last week these golfers played, which was the Tour Championship, because not a lot of people from the Tour Championship are in this one, so it's just a 0, and I don't think it's really a bucket we need to focus on. But when it comes to last year, ones that find success, at least finding the top 10, would be golfers who did not play. Now, this is a very volume-driven bucket, and it looks like it's going to be very volume-driven this week. 76 in the field when there's usually on average 62. So a pretty low success rate, but the numbers speak for themselves. We've seen at least 4 inside the top 10. We've only seen, I mean, we've had a minimum of 1 inside the optimal lineup. And maybe this is the best way to look at this. You want, according to the optimal lineup, a 20 to 40 from last year. So someone who finished between 20 to 40. Someone who finished who missed the cut, and someone who did not play. Now, I will bring in my projections here because that's going to matter. Your 20 to 40 looks awful. I mean, it's basically 0 to 0, you know, as to what I predict will be inside the top 10. Yeah, half of a person. So I don't necessarily like that. It doesn't look like it's going to bode well. And then the missed cut actually is 0 to 2. So we could see, you know, this bucket also fail to be inside the optimal lineup. But the bucket that I think is going to definitely finish in the optimal lineup, obviously last year ones. And then that's about it. I mean, your next bucket would be those who missed the cut last year. Everything else is kind of just in between. I mean, it looks like 0 to 0 as your projection. If there was one to go with, 1 to 20 and maybe 40 to 60, since they're closer to 1, but it still doesn't look good to finish inside the top 10 or even inside the optimal lineup. And I think that is going to be it for the buckets. I know it was a different way to look at buckets this week. I don't necessarily want to make these videos super long. I'm at 30 minutes. We're still going to do a course breakdown right after this, since I forgot to do that. But one other bucket I guess I can mention, strokes gained buckets. This is only looking at 2 years of data, so just keep that in mind. But I always have to mention this. All my buckets, these buckets are dynamic, where the other ones are pretty static, where they can change. This one stays the same. Other way around, sorry. This is static. The other ones are dynamic. I think that's right. Either way, strokes gained 1. All strokes gained stats, the main 4, off the tee, approach, around the green, and putting, they're all positive. We have 3 golfers in the field this week. Usually we see 4.5 and projected pretty close to 1 to 2, but I'm going to say it's going to be like 0 to 2. So, you know, with the 3 golfers that we have, that's pretty good. And by the way, John Rahm is one of them. Strokes gained 2. Those are your positive off the tee, positive putters, and whatever stat in between, it does not matter. Actually, I should say this. Approach or around the green is negative. That's where these guys fall in. The strokes gained 2. And we're seeing like 0 to 1 finish inside the top 10. So take that with a grain of salt, or maybe don't put all your eggs in that basket this year. Strokes gained 3, though, we are seeing somewhere between 1 to 3, you know, projected inside the top 10. We've seen up to 3 always inside the top 10 and 2 inside the optimal lineup every single year. So strokes gained 3, probably a good bucket to choose from. There are 29 golfers in that bucket this year. So maybe not extremely confident with that, but I think we're going to see one inside the top 10. Pretty easy. Strokes gained 4, actually, I have 1 to 2 projected inside the top 10. That's not terrible, and that's your negative off the tee positive putters. Strokes gained 5, not very good here. This is negative off the tee, negative putting, and then whatever stat in between. Could be positive approach, could be positive around the green, but it's just not going to have, well, it could have everything positive. Negative off the tee, negative putting, could be positive approach and positive around the green, but either way, that's your strokes gained 5. And then strokes gained 6. These are your golfers with no stats. We have 58 golfers in this field. Again, most of these are your Korn Ferry Tour graduates. Some of these are guys who might have been on medical extensions, like major medical, that kind of stuff, that are coming back to play in this event. So we have 58 in the field this year. We usually see 40, not a very high success rate, and really we're only projecting 1 to 2, which is still good, but still, you know, you have to curb your expectations. So yeah, those are your main buckets. We'll go through more of this in the strategy video. I'll go over golfers that I like. I'm not going to go over all the golfers here. Basically, I'm just giving you some data points to research yourself and move with that. So I forgot to do this earlier. Again, I mean, I'm recording this at a kind of an odd time. Usually I do this late at night, but since I didn't do it last night, I didn't have the time to. I'm trying to get this out during the day, and it's really difficult with work going on. But here we are. I remembered. It's not the country club, it's the spa and resort. And I'm not going to talk about all these. If you want to pause the video, read what I have written, all the power to you. I'll go slow. You can see 1 through 9. And you should be able to see 10 through 18. Basically, I want to just focus on this right here. Now, this golf course, as I looked at it, was very, very tight and a lot of dog legs. So to me, it's like kind of a shot shaper's haven. The main shot shape I saw, the most important one, was a fade. So 3 off the tee that I counted that you needed a fade for, or at least would be beneficial. 5 into approaches. Now these are greens that have that front left to back right direction, where it's just easy to fit a fade into, as opposed to trying to hit a draw that kind of cross sectionalizes it. So that's what I saw. I did see possibilities for more draws than what I have on here, but I didn't think it was absolutely necessary. And you can read a lot of what that says in the description. I think there were 2 holes for sure that I said a draw could be beneficial. Yeah, I said I would consider a draw off the tee beneficial for hole 16, but it isn't necessary. So either way, most of the holes, you can play whatever shot shape you'd like. And even on some of these other holes where, you know, that type of shot shape matters, it's pretty open. Like, it's not that big of a deal to have to hit a fade or not. It's a traditional par 72, so you got 4 par 3s, 4 par 5s, 10 par 4s. Yards per par, 99. That's actually pretty low considering on tour. So that 7,100 yardage mark is kind of a little low on tour. Usually we see somewhere around 102 to 103 yards per par. So just a little measuring tool there. I guess what I want to do, since we have some additional time, and I really didn't give you the opportunity to look through the salaries to choose who your favorite 7K golfer is, why don't we go over grass stats really quickly? Let's look at the best POA. Now, I do have bent grass. We can go over that too really quickly. But here's your best bent grass golfers in the field. Now, you can see how many POA events, not bent grass, I'm sorry, POA, your best POA golfers in the field. you can see how many events these guys have played. So Curtis Thompson, number 1 in this field, only played 1 event. To me, that doesn't really count. Like, he would not be my number 1 guy. Dylan Wu also only has 1 event. He's our number 3 guy. He also wouldn't count as my number 3 guy. John Rahm, far and away above everyone else. 33 events, average finishing position of 24th. That's a 42% clip of finishing inside the top 10. And in 2021, he had an average finishing position of 9th on POA events. So any more reason you need to play John Rahm? Here you have it. Hideki's number 2. Matt Kuchar, number 3. Now, he didn't really have a really good campaign in 2021, but this is a tournament that he plays well at, and he hits that patent fade. So he has the shot shape for this course. He plays well on this grass. Matt Kuchar, a pretty decent play. As we look at the rest of these guys, you have Griffin, Lonto Griffin, Webb Simpson, Brent Snedeker, Mark Leishman, Brendan Steele, who's played this tournament really well over the years, Ryan Moore, Kevin Na, Ches Reavie, who is a favorite of a lot of people, Phil Mickelson, Maverick McNeely, Charlie Hoffman, Charles Howell III. I shouldn't actually name all of these, but this is your top 20. Adam Hadwin all the way up. It's your top 20 in the field. Now, I do like looking at 2021 POA stats. So this is all of last year, last season, I should say. Not so much just last year, but last season. You can see how everyone has done. And this actually matters. I've seen this stat be one of the more important stats in a lot of the tournaments this year or this last season. Rahm has your best 2021 POA splits. And again, he's played, now it's not 33 this season, it's just 33 total. Thompson only played 1, and 21st was his best finish. Rahm, 9th. So I'm guessing that's like a Torrey Pines, both the US Open as well as the Farmers Insurance Open. So he's played pretty darn good on POA over the year of 2021. And then just going down a little bit, you can see some more Korn Ferry Tour graduates like Steven Yeager. He has 13 events, by the way. He's not a true rookie on the tour. So maybe that gives you a little bit better feels as to play him. Still 0% top 10 percentage throughout all of these guys here. Lonto Griffin really comes into second of qualified golfers, I would say. So Griffin, not a bad play. Cameron Tringali, not terrible. And you can see the rest of the guys here. I'm not going to go and name all of these guys, but a lot of them show up both in the overall as well as the 2021. So yeah, keep that in mind. And then when it comes to bent grass, I'm not going to go over all of this really. I'm not going to go through all of this in depth, but you can see who your top 20 golfers are on the screen. I just recommend pausing the video and taking a look. Your top 10 bent percentage. Let me go ahead and get rid of this. Here are your top 20 here as well. And then your 2021 bent grass. Here are your top 20 as well. And I'm getting berated at work, so I'm gonna have to end this video shortly, like within the minute. So this would be the end of the grass stats. So either way, we're gonna end this video. Contests, obviously take a look at the beginning of the video to see how to enter those contests. All you gotta do is be subscribed, comment in the comment section who's your favorite 7K golfer, and you'll be entered in those contests. But I gotta get going. Thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in a strategy video later tonight. All right, bye.